let's start with our trending topic, the psychology of Jennifer Lopez, an immensely talented woman, triple threat, fantastic actress, singer, dancer, producer. I guess that's a quadruple threat when you say it that way. Let's start with Emma Kate. We're going to start with Emma Kate and end with Emma Kate. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We're going to skip right over Frank and maybe over Jonathan. Come back to Emma Kate.
Okay.
Give us your take on Jennifer Lopez as a person and as a performer. Anything you want to talk about, like her early history, anything about her as a person that you think it'd be good just to set the stage for?
So my understanding, she's from the Bronx, and it just seems like she has been cultivating her talent with singing and performing since she was a young child. It was just in her blood to want to perform, and I gather that she gets a lot of meaning from that. But I can't speak for her, obviously, but she just seems like somebody who is so driven. And when I think about her, there's this physicality. She actually was a track star and she's extremely athletic. And the movie that just came out, Hustlers, seeing her learn and discuss talking about how to do pole dancing, which is the movie's about strippers. And there's a misconception about that's an easy thing to do. It is extremely challenging.
Oh, believe me.
Tell me about it.
I mean, you guys, I know you're working the pole later. Sorry. But I'm serious though. I mean, so she is just a hard worker. She doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. She doesn't have caffeine. She meditates. She is intense, she has so many businesses. She does so much philanthropic work. So she is just this force to be reckoned with within the Latino community, and she has been so wonderful for Latinos.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we're talking about earlier on is about this ageism, and we want to talk about that in particular with her. She's had a long career, and yet she is at 50 maybe as vital as ever in her career. Like there's talk about a possible Oscar nomination for this role. There's talk about Grammy nominations for new music. She's killing it. And yet, as a 50-year-old, a lot of women in Hollywood find that they're not peaking. They're actually on the descent based on all kinds of, kind of factors that are true culturally and within Hollywood in particular. What do you think it is about her that makes her kind of continue to rise even as someone who's at 50 and beyond? Anybody can have at it. Emma Kate, you can go at it again if you want.
I mean, I think first and foremost is that she's talented. But we recognize that there's a lot of people that are talented. There are a lot of women that are incredibly talented in the entertainment industry that the music scene or the film and television seem to spit them out and discard them when they no longer have use. I can't help but think to some degree her youthfulness does help her. And it's sad to say, and I think that's more it's a commentary on our film and entertainment industry than it is on her talent. But she is playing roles that she could be mistaken for someone in her early 30s very easily. And we think about the double standard of age and gender discrimination in Hollywood. When you think about, I think the greatest example is Tom Cruise. As he gets older, his female counterparts in his films tend to stay the same age or younger. And so she is somebody that may be offered opportunity simply because there are roles for attractive women. And again, none of this is to diminish her talent and skill. It's really more indictment on the film industry. But the other thing I think is she's just a tenacious hard worker. Mm-hmm. I really think she comes from that type of person that, whether it's growing up in the Bronx, whether it's her family history and the work ethic that was instilled into her, she has done what it takes to be successful and pursue her dreams. And so she has never come up with any excuses. to be successful in all those different platforms, you have to be disciplined. You have to be ambitious. You have to outwork and outlast people, and that is what she is doing.
I think that is the indictment of Hollywood, because honestly, if she looked 50, she would not be in that movie. She just wouldn't.
But what does 50 look like?
But wait. Just wait.
Look at Frank.
Yeah, thank you. Just stare across over at this guy. Okay,
that's a hustler. I do not want to see.
I'm the new 75. But here's the thing: she wouldn't necessarily have been in that movie, but she would have been in something equally as good. It just would have been a different role because she is just tenacious and carries a lot of power and grit and just doesn't back down from any challenge.
I think she's charming, too. I think she's likable. I've never really heard anybody talk about her being that difficult, and those maybe slight things here and there I've heard Hollywood and critics disparage all ambitious women in Hollywood in the same way. So I kind of take that with a grain of salt. So I think she is somebody that is charming and likable. She is talented, and she has a work ethic that she doesn't expect anything to come easy or automatic to her. But I also think that diversity has helped her as well. Like, it's hard to pigeonhole her. It's and then as somebody that's also producing or is really ambitious behind the camera, behind the scenes, she's an entrepreneur. I think the other thing is you're starting to see a perfect time where representation and Me Too movement and really kind of creating an equal and competitive platform for women artists and entertainers, that there are a lot of young people, aspiring actresses, actors, musicians. They grew up listening to her. They grew up watching her movies. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be really cool that somebody that you may have had a poster on, like Emma Kate's talking about, listening to their music, that you still get to jump into that career and she is still relevant. That's got to be something, that's got to be so cool.
Emma Kate, you look like you have a thought.
I do. I guess, honestly, I'm going to be real. I love J.Lo. I thought her career was over after that Brad, or whatever his name is.
Jennifer.
Ben Affleck. The Geely, whatever the thing was I didn't watch. And it kind of, she went off on a hiatus for a while. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't until she joined American Idol. I think, right? It was American Idol she came back in like 2010 or something. I can't remember what the exact date was. But then it was like, oh, there's J.Lo. I remember I like J.Lo. She's really awesome. And since then, it feels like the narrative, though, that I hear is she is this powerhouse. We like her. And I also can't stop but kind of go back to what Jonathan was saying earlier, where everybody's describing her as aging backwards. And, that's something I've just anecdotally heard people say. And then everybody's kind of saying, oh, you look so great for your age. And that is something that only is said to women. Like, I don't look at Heatherly and be like, you look great for your age.
You would be surprised how many people
so great. Dave,
Asians don't age.
You know what? My therapist this morning said that I look younger than I did when I first started working with her.
Oh, boy.
Well.
And then she said, and my rates are now going up.
So.
Well, can I challenge that just a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I don't disagree with that, but I don't know that that's only about women, because people say that about Paul Rudd, for example. Mm-hmm. Or I can think of a couple other people. It's always like, wow, Paul Rudd, like he's aging backwards, or they have other people. So I think that it's something about being in, I think it's true for women across the board culturally, but I think in Hollywood, that kind of, the part of the currency of an actor is their appearance. And so it's actor or actress.
Right. And I don't disagree with that, but I think that's just what I keep hearing about her.
I hear it all the time. Yes, Paul Rudd is the male J.Lo, but with this renaissance with Hustler, the movie Hustlers, that's all you hear. It's the branding, it's the comeback message that they've made for her. And again, I chalk it up to Hollywood's simplistic, unintelligent way of really branding and marketing people versus why not say, J.Lo, where have you been all this time? Why haven't we found vehicles to showcase your talent? Because I think what American Idol has shown and Hustlers has shown is that there's a lot of really talented people. They just need the right project.
Correct.
showcase it.
Yeah,
Yes,
because even
right.
then you have to dig into the reviews of this movie. I haven't seen it, but it is what it is. And the reality is, when you are unsure about a movie, there's always one person, it seems like, that can salvage or has some credibility in it. And everything is great for her. Everybody is saying she is phenomenal in this, but all I see on the titles of a lot of these articles when I was exploring this was, oh, her body, that she looks great. And I mean, she has worked hard, and so she should feel good about it. And maybe that is something that we should be talking about, but we don't talk about men's bodies the same way. So I'm just going on a little soapbox here.
A lot of people talk about my body that way.
You're right.
They do.
Yeah.
I've been working hard on it.
Your body's not a wonderland,
Yeah.
Frank.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do wonder, and we don't know this is true, but like Jonathan's saying, there is a messaging about it that's coming from Hollywood, and I wonder how much that she's okay with that. In other words, she's at a point of influence in her career where she can help shape the messaging that goes out in the marketing, and I wonder if what her view of that is. Like if she's like, hey, that works for me to kind of market around J.Lo looks awesome, this is amazing, that kind of thing, or if she's just sort of putting up with that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean,
That's
it seems
interesting.
like a smart move, honestly, if she's that well seasoned in the industry
Yeah.
to know this is what happens.
I mean, she's a power player. She's someone that has influence. And related to that, the last thing I want to ask you about is she's someone of Puerto Rican heritage. She is a Latina woman that is an incredibly great role model. And any thoughts about the importance of having J.Lo, not just as an older, not I don't want to say older, as a woman at 50, but also as a person of Latino background, what the importance of that is culturally.
I mean, I think it's got to be important that a film or even something like American Idol, that her characters, her representation is not just a ancillary, marginalized token character. That they have agency. That they steer the story and the plot forward. They're essential. And it's also essential that it's not colorblind. Like, that's a part of her character and who she is. And that it's, in some ways, when an audience doesn't just overlook that, like it's colorblind, anybody could play that part. But it's also not to where they do this performative wokeness where all they do is keep kind of throwing it in your face that their cultural roots or other stuff like that. It's just a very humanized character in a story that had to be played by J.Lo.
Yeah. And I think the music piece, too, in terms of this Latino or Latina aspect, is when she came on the scene, it felt like she really brought some of that cultural piece to the pop culture world, where she was doing a blend of, R&B and kind of this Latin vibe and some of her music and even some of the Spanish albums. And then Spanish songs. And she did have a Spanish album, obviously. But then Ricky Martin was around same time, Livin' La Vida Loca. So I just can't help but feel like she was such a huge catalyst and forward progress for their community.
I will say too, there's a recent study that found that the Latino population in the U.S. is something around 18%, and yet only 4.5% of all the roles that they looked at in film of speaking roles went to Latino actors. So talk about like low representation and so the importance of that. And many of you know my story. I'm an adoptive parent, and one of my daughters is Latino, and I can tell you from firsthand experience that having that positive representation is incredibly important. Like having a strong Latin woman that is talented and is confident, that is not a small issue. That's an important thing. So it's one of the most underrepresented populations in film right now. So that's a big deal. Any last thoughts about Jennifer Lopez. Anything else that we need to know about her psychologically or just her personally or professionally that'd be worth commenting on?
She just seems real. I don't know. She seems real.
I'm happy that a lot of the headlines here in the last couple of years have been more weighted towards her professional aspirations and less on her personal life. But I do hope that she finds happiness in both arenas, professionally and personally.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that is going to do it for this edition of the Shrink Tank podcast. For Emma Kate Wright, Jonathan Hederley, and Frank Gaskell in Charlotte, I'm Dave Verhagen here in Nashville. We want you to tell all your friends about us and make it a great week.